This is Late Night Health. Great news. I've been mentioning it the last few weeks and forgot on this show. You should check out youtube.com/Late Night Health. We have a whole series of videos up there, including one starring Daryl Wayne.
Starring. Yeah, starring role.
Starring role. So you check us out at youtube.com/Late Night Health.
I didn't get my name above the title, so I'm not sure whether that's a starring role or not.
Oh, but your name was on there.
Okay, good.
Someplace.
Okay, good.
I have no idea where, but hey. We're going to talk about the calorie and the calorie myth. New book is out. Jonathan Bailor is the author. Jonathan is a personal trainer and a health coach. I think you work in engineering as well, don't you?
I'm a former personal trainer. I'm actually currently a senior program manager at Microsoft.
It's okay. I'm a Mac user. So, but everybody else here is a PC guy. So I guess you're in good company. So you're an engineer.
I am.
You are, and a former personal trainer. How did you? But you work out. You work out. You exercise. You eat properly. Do Americans really understand the word diet to start with?
We understand it to the best of our ability. We understand it based on what we've been told, and the challenge and my mission over the past 15 years is to fill this gap between what the mainstream has told us and what the actual experts, the scientific community, has proven about eating and exercise, because there is a huge, huge rift. And it's really no surprise if you think about it. I mean, we don't use the same phones we used 5 minutes ago, but we're told the same eating and exercise information we were told 50 years ago. Are we to believe there just hasn't been any progress?
Well, is it because the industry wants to protect itself? Do you think that the information is not getting out?
That's a part of it. There is very little financial incentive, as you alluded to having healthy and completely satisfied people. If you have individuals that are continuously struggling and sick, you can make a lot of money selling them snake oil.
Exactly. So let's talk about. But even look, there was a diet pill, and I can't think of what it was called. And it was for people who needed to lose, 30 or 40 pounds or more. It was clinical studies.
Fenfluramine. Fenfluramine in the 90s.
In the 90s,
they had to pull it from the market.
They had to pull it from the market, even after the clinicals. It caused people serious side effects. I don't know if anybody.
It used to be called Fen-Phen.
Fen-Phen.
I don't know. People died. That was a pretty side effect.
That's a big
hard
side
one,
effect.
really. Yeah.
So my question is, what is snake oil? Are you calling snake oil from Big Pharma or snake oil from nutraceutical companies, Jonathan?
Snake oil is anything that perpetuates what I call the calorie myth, which is that obesity is simply caused by, it's a moral issue, it's a character issue, it's caused by us just not trying hard enough and eating too many calories. And the problem with that theory, and it is a theory, it's been proven wrong, and it's actually been proven to fail in over 95.4% of people. That's not my opinion, that's proven studies. What we need to focus on is everything other than calories. And when you do that, these types of pills and powders and potions start to become absurd. For example, a cigarette doesn't have any calories in it. That doesn't mean it's good for you. Like, we understand intuitively. But imagine a world where I said, Daryl, Mark, and Josh, I have a pill that will make smoking not harm your lungs anymore. You would say that's ridiculous because smoke destroys your lungs. And these edible products that we're being fed today under the guise of being healthy because they're low in calories do something to our brain, our gut, and our hormones analogous to that which cigarettes do to our lungs. And no pill, powder, or potion can cure that.
What I understand is that a lot of food enhancement chemicals are added to food, and we become addicted to the taste of a French fry or a burger, and we want more. It helps develop a craving for that product. Have you found that as well?
That is exactly right. That has been demonstrated clinically repeatedly, and it'll even go one step further to say not only do you become addicted to these substances, that has been demonstrated, but they alter your baseline levels of satiety. What that means is they actually, if you eat these foods, it will take more calories to fill you up. It actually inflames your brain and makes your brain not understand when you're actually full. So are we overeating? Technically, yes, but are we overeating because we're weak and lazy? No, we're overeating because these edible products have literally broken our brain.
So the idea that I'm eating too much, just push yourself away from that food is not right, because there's something going on in the brain caused by that food, the inferior food, that makes us want more, and we keep eating and we gain weight.
Exactly. Think of someone who is struggling with overweight and a physician telling them just eat less, a bit like someone who's struggling with alcoholism being told just drink less. Like, what's your problem? Just drink less alcohol.
Excuse me, Jonathan, so you're really saying that indeed a calorie is not a calorie, that the most important aspect is quality of carbohydrate?
Or protein.
So a calorie is absolutely not a calorie. That also doesn't mean that calories don't exist and don't matter. They do.
Right.
If you drink 10,000 calories of butter, you will gain fat. But the fact is that the body and the brain is designed to regulate life-sustaining functions. Look at any other species on the planet. They can't even conceptualize what a calorie is, yet left to their own devices, somehow they avoid obesity. How does that work? How did every human who lived prior to understanding what a calorie was dramatically lower rates of obesity and diabetes than we did today? It's because our brain, specifically our hypothalamus, is designed to balance calories for us when we eat the proper quality of food.
Are we the only fat animal? I mean, other than cows and animals that are raised for food, in the wild, are we the only fat animal? I mean, are there fat wolves, fat bears, etc.?
I love that you brought up a cow specifically, because cows, left to their own devices, left to eat what they eat naturally, aka grass, are not fat. They're actually exceptionally lean. If you buy grass-fed beef, you'll notice a marked difference in the amount of marbling than in starch or corn-fed beef. And even humans, when left to their own devices, when left to eat foods found directly in nature, are not obese. And in fact, researchers who have tried to study obesity struggled to create fat mice and rats. They struggled until they discovered what they call the cafeteria diet, which is they fed, instead of feeding mice and rats just more of their natural food, they started feeding them processed starches and sweets. And all of a sudden, they had morbidly obese mice and rats.
Nothing worse than a morbidly obese rat. Our guest is the author of the Calorie Myth. His name is Jonathan Bailor. He's taken an engineering approach to dieting, and I'm really fascinated by food in general, because I'm a big foodie. I will drive 100 miles if I hear about a new restaurant. I'm that much of a foodie. I will drive more than 100 miles and have at many, many times. Don't put me in New York where you were last week, because I go nuts. The other day I saw a commercial, and the commercial was for a chicken processor. I don't know if anybody else has seen this one. And it's all done in cartoon. The chairman of the board of this, I'll say it's Purdue Chicken, and does the voiceover, and he says, our chickens are natural, are healthy, and they're grain-fed. And I said, oops, they're grain-fed. They should be eating worms and bugs.
And grass.
And grass. I don't know what chickens eat. I knew the bugs.
Yeah, bugs and
grass and things like that. And
insects, they eat insects.
Right. And I was a little appalled. The other thing that they mentioned is that they don't feed reprocessed chicken blood, because what they do on a kill floor is after the chickens are killed, there's blood left over, and they mop that up somehow. They put it into a grain, and they feed it back to the next
Has that
batch
been
of
banned
chickens.
recently? I think
I don't know if it's been
there was some
banned or
outcry
not.
about it a couple of years ago.
Well, the big outcry about it. In fact, years ago, I was asked if I would shoot. I'm a producer-director. If I would go out on a kill floor and show this product being used, and I said I can't do it. I can't do it. It's disgusting to me. And Purdue doesn't do that, and that's great. I'm proud of Purdue. I wish they would be feeding more bugs. And when I told my wife that's what chickens really should be eating, she said, "Ew, I don't want to eat bugs. I want them to eat."
Well, turkeys eat bugs.
I'm sorry?
Turkeys eat bugs. Turkey is fantastic meat.
Yes, it is. Turkey, but they
They
also
eat crickets.
but they also eat grain. They're fed, the ones that are
In pens.
in pins, and that's terrible.
Jonathan, I have a question for you. So what's the takeaway from your book? The main thing is it's not a question of morality. It's that we eat much too much processed sugar. That's it, isn't it?
It's that the focus on calories has distracted us from food. So we don't eat food anymore. In fact, 40 to 60% of the average American calories are coming from non-food. And non-food are things that no one ate 50 years ago. Mm-hmm. And by eating those non-foods, we have actually broken our body's ability to automatically regulate our weight. Our body doesn't want to be overweight any more than it wants cancer or wants diabetes. But when we focus on calorie quantity, we end up eating the wrong things and breaking that system.
So the apostat, if you will, has been broken. We eat more because we're not satisfied. We're not satiated.
That's exactly right. Obesity is much more analogous to diabetes than it is to a character flaw. Diabetes isn't caused by eating too many calories. It's caused by breaking your pancreas. And your pancreas is broken by a certain type of calories. Your brain, gut, and hormones operate similarly.
Wow. That's amazing. Our guest is the author of the Calorie Myth. It's Jonathan Bailor is our guest. You approached your studies from an engineering standpoint. I mean, as a clinician, if you will.
It is a very unique but very promising approach because an engineer's job is to design systems that work, and they have to work. If an engineer builds a bridge and the bridge collapses, no one says, "You stupid drivers, why did you drive on the bridge so much?" Right? If an engineer builds you a house and it collapses, no one's going to blame you. They're going to blame the engineer. So that's not how a lot of medical fields work, though, right? If the treatment doesn't work, patient error. So when you're an engineer, you take a much different approach, and you ensure practicality, you ensure permanence, and you work with the world's top experts to make sure the system is usable.
One of the things I want to talk to you about are clinical studies. You've mentioned that term several times already. And I want to talk to you about my feeling, and I think Josh's feeling, about clinical studies. Because just because a clinical study says X, Y, and Z doesn't mean X, Y, and Z is going to happen. Okay? So we'll do that when we come back. And the other thing is Bill Gates a nice guy?
He is a very nice guy.
Okay, just checking. All right, our guest, the author of the Calorie Myth, Jonathan and I, and Josh Lane will be back in just a couple moments here on Late Night Health. Don't go away. More coming up.